say hi to Carla Allen-Hughes. Good morning, Soror.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We are fantastic. We when we first found out you were going to come on, we had so many questions because um, it is something to think about when you say, I have to get a lawyer for whatever reason. And when you have a relationship with an attorney or a lawyer, it definitely makes the journey easier. So, first and foremost, tell us a little bit about your firm
Ooh,
and
Did she get a
oh,
chance to get something in her cup? Because we just relax. Carla, did you get a cup? Because we want
I
to
don't
know.
have anything in my cup.
Well,
you know what? She has all knowledge in her cup. That's why I started to jump right in because I know she has so much to talk to us about. So, talk to us a little bit about your firm. Tell us about what you areas you cover and what you areas you can provide information for.
Well, so I handle a lot of different practice areas. I practice in the areas of family law, so I handle a lot of divorces and child custody cases. I do step parent adoptions. I also will handle a lot of probate matters when someone passes. Wills, I prepare those. I prepare trusts
Okay.
and power of attorney documents. I also handle some contract work and setting up businesses. So, getting all your organizational documents put in place, I handle that. I will handle traffic tickets, and I also handle uh, civil matters and some minor criminal matters.
The first thing you mentioned was divorce. Now, I've been divorced, and so I know that there can be a lot of feelings when it comes to divorce. However, is it the word amicable? You can have an amicable divorce. When you talk to your clients about divorce, what is the first thing you tell them?
Well, I tell them that it's not going to be a quick process because
Yes.
oftentimes when people come in, they want it to be over as quickly as you got married. And unfortunately, divorces take a much longer time period than the 10-minute ceremony that you have when you get married. So it is a much longer process. And I just try to help them get prepared for that because sometimes that can be very frustrating. If you've made
Yes.
the decision to actually want to get a divorce, you want it to be over quickly. So that's the
Right.
main thing to keep in mind that it's going to take a while. Most divorces take anywhere from 9 months to a year before they're going to be completed.
Well, I was thinking that, we are in the midst of a pandemic, and there are people who used to be so close because they weren't really close. And then all of a sudden they were stuck in the house with each other. And a lot of people are realizing, I don't like this person at all. So, I heard that right before tax season, or like right, does the numbers increase in the new year because people make a resolution? This is a wrap. Are you
Right.
seeing that? Because I know we're
Yes.
seeing an increase in domestic violence, but are you seeing an increase in divorces?
Yes. And typically right after the holidays, everyone's, like you're saying, making those New Year resolutions saying that they want to start off the new year in a different place and a different mindset to be happier. And so, yes, that's when the phone rings quite a bit. And, they start calling around February. Then, like you said, once they get those tax refunds, and now those stimulus checks, so they should put me in a meme as well. so, so that'll be another reason why people will start to think about getting the ball rolling on a divorce.
Yeah,
Wow.
people just it gives you I guess a chance or opportunity to think about what you're doing with your money. Especially when money becomes less. Because a lot of people are not working like they normally work, and a lot of people are wrapped up in their title of their job. But you know what? I also want to talk about something positive that you do. Well, divorce can be positive too, but something that I think is important. When you said you talk about adoption, um,
Sure.
you is it now, what was the term you used? You said
I typically do a lot of step parent adoptions and some
step
adult
parent
adoptions.
adoption. You know what? Talk to us about step parent adoption.
So I have a lot of situations where, you have a parent that had a child before she got married, and then she gets a new spouse, and that spouse is the only parent that the child ever knows, and the biological mother or father hasn't been in the child's life. And so the step parent can decide that they want to adopt the child and, have it be considered their own natural and biological child. And it's actually wonderful process. This is one of the best things that I do in my practice because it's something, like you said, that's happy. It's a joyous occasion.
Yes.
And the process, it can be a bit long, but when you think about the end result of it, you're perfectly fine with going through it. So
that's so interesting that you say that, because I was just talking about how, as a therapist, a lot of times I'll ask people who are their biological parents, and they'll say, well, I was raised by my grandmother, or the aunt in the neighborhood adopted me. And oftentimes in our community, we don't legally do the adoption. We just claim the kids. But when you legally do the adoption, it helps along with that process. And that kid can also take on your name and just really feel connected. That's important.
Exactly.
Tell us another thing that I think is important, because I went through this with losing my mom, the value of having a will in place.
Yes.
As an African American communities, are we doing this? Should we do it more? Is it really costly?
It honestly isn't as costly as people think it is, depending on where you go. So I will be honest. There are some places that you might go to and they're going to charge, a higher rate, other than the Allen Law Firm that gives affordable prices. But it is something that we should absolutely. It is definitely something that we should do more. I will say that once the pandemic hit, it did become a topic of conversation, and a lot of people wanted to get their affairs in order. But I've done seminars all over St. Louis just to kind of inform people of the importance of it all. If nothing else, we want to save as much money as we possibly can and not give it to the courts just because we're trying to figure out how to get, our grandmother's house who's been deceased for 20 years, and now we want to try to get the house in our name. And now it's too late, or we're spending thousands of dollars to try to get this property that we've been taking care of for years. And so having a will is going to prevent you having to come out of pocket up front for all this money just to get the property that you have been taking care of and maintaining forever. So if nothing else, it's nice to just know that you are going to be able to take care of your property, take care of your family without having any issues and going through, because the court process can be long. I mean, that's another process that's going to take about a year to complete. We don't have that kind of time.
And long and emotional, because if it's not in writing, often you find, someone's going to start calculating, well, I was there taking care of grandma on her last day. Someone was there taking care of grandma when she first became elderly. So everyone has a emotional connection. So if you have all those things in place, it definitely helps to keep the family whole, and it helps with the healing process, I believe.
One of our owners
can actually grieve.
Yes, they can. And they don't have to be searching through to find the cookie jar where all the money is, or under the mattress, or all those different bank accounts.
Robert puts everything in one place, so you know exactly what you're looking for, what you're dealing with, and where to find it. So,
and also people need to remember, and I know it's difficult. No one's trying to be in your business. People are like, oh, I don't want everyone to know my business. It's in the will. You're going to be on to your next transition when they read the will. So you know what? Take the time to write it down. It will be your last wonderful gift that you give your family.
Get it in order.
You don't have to include dollar amounts in the will. You can just say, oh, I have an insurance policy with Northwest Mutual. So no one, it could be $2.
There you go.
But at least they know that it's there. And so people aren't money hungry about it.
Carla, can you imagine your grandmama's like, look, I'm leaving you my last $2.
Hey, but let me tell you something. And someone,
yes.
And let me tell you something. It might be grandma's last $2, but Uncle Sanford don't think it's his. So if grandma doesn't have it in writing, those last $2 won't be anyone. So that is so important to say. Make sure you have yourself a will. Young people, if you are an adult on your own, you need a will too. People often think only people over 65 need a will. You need a will, especially if you have children.
Yes.
You need a will.
Speaking of children,
the moment you get your first bank account, you need a will.
Robert asked.
Say that again. Say that again.
The moment you get your first bank account, you need a will.
There you go.
Robert says, is it real expensive to have a lawyer on retainer? Please talk about that. And in addition to that, child custody. I heard that there's apps now when people are going through the child custody because you want to be amicable with each other. But again, is it expensive to have a lawyer on?
Don't have to be expensive. If you want to say, you can always make an arrangement with that particular lawyer to say, hey, I would like to just give you $50 a month just to know
Yes.
that I have someone when something comes up. And if the cost for what you actually need to happen is more than what you might have in their retainer, then that's another discussion that you have. But at least you've been putting money towards it, so you aren't
Absolutely.
coming in when you really need them, and now they're saying, "Oh, I need $2,000 from you." You're like, "Wait a minute." So, and sometimes it's just nice to know that you can call someone and you can ask them questions, and you don't have to worry about the fees that are associated with it.
Kind of like a little extra insurance policy, like another policy.
Exactly.
It is. So again, a lot of people are going through divorces. Children are involved. I know that you practice in Illinois and Missouri, or where do you practice?
I practice in both states, yes.
Okay.
And is it different for both states? Do they have to go through parenting counseling prior to the divorce when they're dealing with children, or is that an option?
So you go through a kids counseling class as you're going through the process. So you don't have to do it beforehand, but it is a class that has to be completed before the process ends.
Now, when people talk about kid custody, it's important for people to remember that the kids need to be in love from both parents, So what is your advice to the parents? If you have a parent that says, well, I just don't like him, what is your advice as far as the kids are concerned?
So I tend to be very honest with my clients, which can be a bit frustrating, but I like them to understand what's going to take place when they go through the court process. And I don't sugarcoat things. I don't give them, any lies because I want them to understand what is really going to happen and help them to understand that it is about the best interest of the child.
Yes.
And if you come in trying to be vindictive or trying to keep the one parent away from the child, it could end badly for the parent that is behaving that
Yes.
way. I mean, I've had cases where maybe one parent had been the primary caregiver for a child, but because they were unwilling to facilitate a relationship with the other parent, the judge uprooted that child out of that primary caretaker's home and gave it to the other child because you're unwilling to foster a relationship with the other parent. You just simply cannot do that.
It's best to go in with an open mind and a clean slate when it comes to parenting, because you know what? You might not have got it right while you were married, but this is another positive opportunity to get it right. So I encourage parents that if you get a divorce and you have children, try to make a parenting program that works for both. And believe me, in your new single life, you're going to want that baby to go see his daddy so you can have a little time.
Everybody needs a break at some point.
Yes.
I know we co-parented and it was the best experience ever.
Yes.
And so, it took some time. It takes maturity. But I think that what we were saying prior to coming on air, that if you're not happy, you really need to process this thing. Life is too short and you got to get out. It's like the Get Out movie. Get out. And if you don't get out and you know that you need to be representative, make sure that you call the Allen Law Firm.
Absolutely.
We saying yes to us. It's Freedom Friday. Look, Freedom Friday. If you need to get out,
get free.
How can they get in touch with you?
Yes.
So they can call you, the Allen Law Firm, at 443-2502. That's 443-2502. How else can they get in contact with you?
Because I can also be reached by email. My email address is Carla, Carla, Allen, Allen, the number 11 at Hotmail. Yes, I am a dinosaur. At hotmail.com.
Hotmail.com.
At hotmail.com. I've had that email address since college.
You know what? Just like those phone numbers that we've had forever, our grandparents' phone numbers, that's all good. But the one thing that we all know for sure, because we've tested it, y'all, we've tested it. When you call 443-2502, she will answer and she will help. Okay.
I do pride myself on answering the phone, or if I can't, I return every single phone call that I receive. So
that's what's up. Well,
awesome.
Look, you know this is still Women's History Month. This is Sisterhood Month. She is a soror. I just need you all to know. We got good sorors. Nelsons are always in the house. So representing, please tell us
That's why we got red on today.
There you go.